What's up guys, Merciless Vaughn here, back with another video, and in this video, it's been a while since I did an ESO video, so I thought I'd do one, and this is just going to be my updated Magicka Sorcerer solo build. I did one a while back, but that one's pretty old, so I just thought I'd do a new version of that build. Hopefully you guys enjoy. If you do, please leave a like. If you are new to the channel or you've been here for a while, please consider subscribing and help me get to 60 subscribers. I'm really close. And without wasting any more time, let's just go ahead and get started. First things first, we're going to look at the attributes. I have 38k Magicka, 23k health, 12k stamina. I have 3460 spell damage, 59.7 spell critical, 7274 spell penetration. I have 1305 Magicka recovery. Here are the advanced stats if you guys care about that. And the mana stone that I am using is the Shadow, which increases my critical damage by 17%. As for the gear, I'm going to be using 5-piece Mother Sorrows on the front bar and jewelry, and I'm also running 5-piece False Gods on the body. So here I have Inferno Staff from Mother Sorrow. On the back bar I have the Maelstrom Perfected Staff, Slime Claw for the crit, and then here False Gods on the body, and then Mother Sorrows on the jewelry with Ring of the Pale Order. Ring of the Pale Order is really good for healing. It restores 20% of the damage you deal as health. So that's really good. Mother Sorrows, it gives you maximum Magicka, and then the rest of the pieces just gives you a lot of spell critical. And then False Gods, 2 pieces gives you spell critical, 3 pieces gives you Minor Slayer, which increases your damage done to dungeon, trial, and arena monsters by 5%. 4 pieces gives you more spell critical, and 5 pieces reduces the cost of your Magicka abilities, and every time you kill an enemy, you restore Magicka and gain Major Expedition for 8 seconds, which increases your movement speed. So yep, that's pretty much it for the gear. Just to talk about a little bit more, yeah, since I am using Ring of Pale Order, I have to use Mother Sorrow's shoulders just because I can get the 5-piece bonus, 2 pieces on the jewelry, 1-piece shoulders, and then the Inferno Staff will give me the last 2 pieces. The Inferno Staff, I have an Absorb Magicka enchant. You can use whatever enchant you want. I am using the Precise trait. And on this one, the Maelstrom's Perfected Inferno Staff, if you don't have the Perfected, that's fine. It really doesn't have to be the Perfected one. The Imperfected one will work too. But I have a weapon damage enchant. Then I'm using the Infused trait. And the reason I'm using the Maelstrom Perfected Staff is so that my light and heavy attacks can deal additional damage when I use my Wall of Elements. And that's the main reason why when you're light attacking in between abilities, you get a lot of damage off from your light attack. So it's really important to have this staff. And then Slime Claw for the crit, like I said earlier. Then on the body pieces, Max Magicka enchants, Divines on all of the pieces. Then for the jewelry, I have spell damage enchants, and I'm using the Bloodthirsty trait. If you don't have Ring of the Pale Order, you can just go ahead and put another Mother Sorrow's ring right here. You can take this off and just use a monster set of your choice. A good monster set to use is Ice Heart. 1 piece gives you spell critical, and 2 pieces, when you deal critical damage, you have a 20% chance to gain a damage shield that absorbs a certain amount of damage for 6 seconds. And while the damage shield is up, you deal frost damage to all enemies within 5 meters of you. So this is really good if you're having trouble staying alive in some solo instances. So yeah, you can get this if you want to be a little more defensive with this build. But if you want something to do a little bit more damage, then you can use another set. And that other set that you can use is Zon's. 1 piece gives you spell critical, and 2 pieces gives you, basically it's just a single target flame damaging beam that occurs every time you deal a light or heavy attack. As you can see, when you deal damage with a light or heavy attack, you have a 33% chance to create that beam of fire that connects to the target within 8 meters of them. So that's really good for single target DPS, which is mostly what this build is about. It's just single target. So if you want a little bit more damage, you can go ahead and use Zons if you want to. Now, False Gods and Zons are both DLC sets, so if you really can't get those, then Ice Heart is a non-DLC set, so you can use that for your monster set. And False God is also a trial set as well, so if you can't do trials yet, or you really don't have the DLC for it, then you can use Burning Spell Weave. Burning Spell Weave works fine. Burning Spell Weave gives you maximum Magicka, spell damage, spell critical, and when you deal damage with the flame ability, you apply the burning status effect to the enemy and increase your spell damage by a certain amount for 8 seconds. So yeah, this will work well too if you don't have the DLC to get False Gods, or you just can't do the trials yet. So this will hold you out until you do get a better set. Now that we're finished with the gear, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the skills that I am using. I use Elemental Drain on the back bar. So yeah, I'm starting off with the back bar. Elemental Drain and Unstable Wall of Elements. These are the two abilities that really never go away if you're a Magicka DPS. These two abilities right here will always be on your back bar. So you should have a pretty good idea of what these do. If not, I'll go over them real quick. Elemental Drain basically applies Major Breach, which reduces the target's resistances, and also applies Minor Magical Lifesteal. And Minor Magical Lifesteal just restores Magicka every time you deal damage to that target for the duration. And Unstable Wall of Elements, since we're using the Maelstrom staff, our light of heavy attacks will do extra damage to enemies inside the Unstable Wall of Elements. And when the Unstable Wall of Elements goes down, it will explode, dealing more flame damage. Yep, so those are pretty much the two abilities that will always be here if you're a Magicka DPS, no matter what class you are. Now onto the next skill, I have Channeled Acceleration. This is also from the Psijic skill line, which is also DLC. Gotta be at least rank 5. And so yeah, here basically you just gain Major Expedition, and you gain Minor Force for 36 seconds, which increases your critical damage. So yeah, this is just something that will help pump out more damage. When I hit a critical damage, I'll just get that 10% critical bonus. So this is just something here that I have, and also just for some movement speed when I'm not killing enemies. Critical Surge, this is probably the most important ability in this build. Just it gives us major sorcery, and every time we deal critical damage, it heals us for a certain amount. So this is the buff that you should always have active. Once this goes down, you need to stop whatever you're doing and switch to the back bar to activate this, because this heals you for a lot when you are critting. Ring of Pale Order helps too, but this helps out a lot too. And you also want that major sorcery up at all times. So yeah, these are just the two buffs that I'm using for this build. And this one is probably the most important, just for the major sorcery and to get the healing back when we deal critical damage. And I've talked about that one already. And Hardened Ward, this is just our shield. It gives us a real big damage shield, so if I'm ever in a tight spot, switch to the back bar, and I can just use this shield, put down some dots, make sure critical surge is up, and those dots will just start healing and then just do damage. You also gain a little bit of health when this shield takes damage, so this is really good. And the ultimate that I am using is the Destruction Staff Ultimate, Fiery Rage. But you can use whatever ultimate you want. This is just the one that I use. Ultimates really are just personal preference. Starting with the front bar, I have two major skills ability, Shooting Star and Inner Light. I have those two on the front bar so I can take advantage of this Mage's Guild passive ability, Magicka Controller. It increases my maximum Magicka and Magicka recovery for each Mage's Guild ability slotted. And so, since I have Shooting Star and Inner Light here, right now the current bonus is 4%. So that's mainly why these two abilities are here. and this is the ultimate that I use mostly. And then here I have Bound Aegis, which just increases my max Magicka by 8% when it's slotted, and I gain Minor Resolve, which increases my resistances by a certain amount. Here is my main spammable Force Pulse. And that's just really all it is. Force Pulse will help proc this ability, Crystal Frags, where most of our burst damage will be coming from. When you cast a magical ability, you have a 35% chance of causing your next Crystal Frags to be instant, deal 66% more damage, and cost 50% less magicka. So yeah, I'm really just spamming Force Pulse until I get the second ability from Crystal Frags to proc. Then once it's procced, I just use that. And then here I have my Execute, Mage's Wrath. This is the Execute, like I said. When the enemy is below 20% health, it deals a lot of additional shock damage. And then when they're below 20% health, I really don't use Force Pulse anymore. I'll just spam this till I get Crystal Frags. And once I get Crystal Frags, use that, and then just go back to spamming this. And yep, that's pretty much it for the skills. Passives, I can go over that real quick. Magicka Controller. Yeah. One other thing, if you really want to, you don't have to use Inner Light. I just really have a habit of having Inner Light on most of my builds just to take advantage of this passive ability. But if you really don't want to, then you can do something like this. You can put your Hardened Ward on the front bar, so you don't have to switch to the back bar. And then you can put Mystic Orb here if you want to for a little bit more damage. Or if you're having sustain problems, you can use Consuming Trap. That will also help too. So it's really up to you what you want to use. So you can kind of consider that this Inner Light spot as a flex spot. You can put Hardened Ward there and then just put whatever ability you want on the back bar there. Me personally, I just like to have Inner Light there and then just have the shield here. But that's just me, you can do whatever you want. Alright, so talked about the gear, the skills, now we're going to talk about champion points. Currently I have 1100 champion points, so we're just going to take a look at what I have those points into. Starting off with the green tree or crafting tree, really the only thing that will matter from this tree is Rationer, which increases the duration of any food or drink that you have. So this is probably the most important one to get, because the longer your food's up, the more increased stats you have, and that's important. And I guess Steadfast Enchant is another one. It's just your weapon enchants have a 10% chance not to consume a charge per stage. So if you get this, you just won't have to charge your weapon as much without this. And that's it. Just pretty much Rationer and Steadfast Enchant. But mostly Rationer, this is the most important one. So you can just kind of put the bare minimum of champion points you have until you get this maxed out. Then if you want, you can just go ahead and put the rest in the Steadfast Enchant. And I'll just quickly go over the ones that I have. But these are just my personal preference. You can do with that whatever you want with the rest of your champion points, as long as you get Rationer maxed out first. And also to make sure that Rationer is slotted in the champion bar. Now, as for the blue tree, the champion points I have are 20 in the Precision, 20 in the Eldritch Insight, 50 in the Fighting Finesse. Going to the elbow, I have 20 in the Piercing, 40 in the Flawless Ritual, 30 in the War Mage. Then I have 50 in Deadly Aim, and 50 in Master of Arms. And then I also have 50 in the Untamed Aggression. Since we're going to be soloing, you will want this because really you can use Backstabber, but most of the time you really won't be behind the bosses. So yeah, if you do get a chance to get behind the boss, and yeah, you can take advantage of the extra crit damage. But since most of the time you won't be, there's just no point in having that on, so we'll just have Untamed Aggression here. And make sure that your champion perks are also slotted. And now, last but not least, for the red tree, really the ones that I say you'll need mostly are Hero's Vigor, just for the increased health, and siphoning spells. You restore Magicka every time you kill an enemy. It maxes out at 50, and you get 1500 Magicka when you kill an enemy at max. So yeah, these two are probably the most important ones to get. Everything else is just personal preference. Like I did with the other ones, I'll just quickly go over the champion points that I have slotted or put points into. And that's pretty much it. So basically, the most important ones to get for the red tree: Hero's Vigor and siphoning spells. The blue tree, you'll just probably want to work on precision first. Get fighting finesse. You can like put the bare minimum in here, then get these two maxed out, and get untamed aggression. But that's just my personal opinion. You can put your points into whatever you want starting out. And then here in the green tree, Rationer is what you want first. But yeah, that's my champion point setup. You probably have a better way of setting them up, so you can just use that way instead of mine. It's up to you. Alright, and the food choices that you can use for this build are Clockwork Citrus, which increases your max health, gives you health recovery, and increases your max Magicka, and also gives you Magicka recovery. But since this one is kind of expensive and Perfect Row is hard to come by, if you can't use this or afford this from the guild trader, then you can use the Witchmother's Potent Brew, which increases your max Magicka, gives you max health, and it also gives you Magicka recovery. This is a good replacement if you can't really use the Clockwork Citrus. So yeah, Witchmother Potent Brew will work fine too. But if you don't have this or can't make it, then you can always go with the Eyeball Food. This increases your max Magicka and gives you Magicka recovery. Alright, and now we're going to look at some potions that you can use. The best in-slot potions to use will be the essence of spell power potions. And how you make those is with this plant, this one, and you can use this one, the essence of spell power. Gives you major sorcery, major prophecy, restores Magicka, and gives you major intellect. Major sorcery increases your spell damage, major prophecy increases your spell critical rating, and major intellect just increases your Magicka recovery. But if you can't make these or they're too expensive for you in a guild trader, you can use another one. Alright, but since Critical Surge already gives us major sorcery, you can use the essence of spell critical potions. This still gives you the major prophecy, which increases your spell critical rating. These potions also help you restore health and gives you health recovery if you need it. Still restore Magicka, and this also gives you major intellect, which increases your Magicka recovery by 30%. This is the one that I use mostly because, you know, Critical Surge already gives us some major sorcery. But you don't have to use Essence of Spell Power or the Essence of Spell Critical Potions, really. Because if you are using Inner Light gives us increased Magicka while slotted and also gives us major prophecy. So really, if you want, you can use the regular Essence of Magicka potions. Since we're getting major sorcery from Critical Surge and major prophecy from Inner Light. So the regular old Essence of Magicka potions that you get from dungeons will work just as fine. And that's pretty much it for my updated Magicka Sorcerer solo build. If you want to see some gameplay, just leave a like and let me know in the comment section down below. I'll do a Veilstrom Hollow run if you guys want to see this build in action. Hopefully you enjoy, and as usual, until next time.